Me and my older sister had moved into the apartment during the winter a little before Christmas and were very excited as it was our first experience in our own place. We had stayed there one night already, so the next night we decided to start decorating it the way we'd like. I moved all the furniture and got the paint ready. It was around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was dark, with it being winter. There was a large window in the front room. Our view was the back of a graveyard. Not a very pleasant sight, but also it has its own kind of beauty to it. All of a sudden I looked at my sister, and she was staring through the window with a look of terror on her face. She was unable to speak. I looked at what she was looking at, and I truly felt sick to the stomach. It was a man who seemed to be floating in the air outside our window. Face porcelain white with a bald head and long bushy eyebrows, but it wasn't looking at us, just thorough us and around the room. Eyes of black and pupils of fire inside, looking all inhuman-like. We screamed and ran out the back of the apartment. At first it didn't occur to us that this could be a ghost. We all thought it was just a man trying to break in. We took a further look outside where he was and didn't see anything. When we got inside and went around the front where he was, he'd gone. The really fucked up thing is that our front window was at least 8 feet above the ground. Nobody could reach that standing up. We went back inside. That night I must have suspected something as I slept in my sister's room. We were woken up at around 5:20 in the morning to the most terrifying scream I've ever heard in my life. It dragged on and on. The sounds of pain has intensified to a guttural screams. We jumped up from the bed, ran straight out the front door. We haven't even been back to collect our stuff. The man who lived in the apartment above us said he'd often heard screaming and strange noises coming from the apartment. He had 2 dogs, and he said they would often chase something that wasn't there. Anyway, we decided to do some investigating on the apartment, asking neighbours if anything had happened in the apartment. Most of the street seemed to know what had happened. 3 years before we moved in, a father and son lived in this apartment. The son was 27 and suffered from depression. He stabbed his father to death in the early hours of the morning before stabbing himself, but this failed, so he threw himself out of the window. Nobody lives there now.